Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars. Guys, welcome back to the podcast. As we can see, we're doing things a little different. We're in a little different location. I'm still playing with the different places where I want to go live. So I just figure I just do something different. So this is the setup for today. So let's get into this topic because I'm still getting through the Emerald tablet in terms of the text. And the other day as I was reading, I came across there's a lot of little nuggets, and the book is not that expensive. I don't have the book with me, but it's about maybe $15-$14 if you want to purchase the book on your own in Amazon. But I would suggest anybody that is curious in terms of esoteric or just seeing things from a different point of view to look in the text, because there's a lot of nuggets. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, before I start, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. I want to say share instead of pass. Share this video with anybody that you feel that can benefit from the things that I am suggesting or discussing. Also, check out all the information down below, because you'll also see all the notifications for not only my website but also my vlog channel. I go live on that channel as well, so be sure to check that out, as well as my podcast. It goes live every single Thursday. And follow me on Instagram. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, let's get into this topic, because I'm not going to stay as long, but I wanted to just come by and just give a little, I want to say, hope in seeing things a little different, right? Because in life, when you open yourself to a different outlook or outlooks, you will self-discover. You'll learn different things about yourself that you probably wouldn't have if you didn't see things or were open to different things in life. Now, I want to say, because I'm in a different area, you might hear my dog. Okay, so apologies in advance. Okay, so I want to read something. It says, "Know that darkness is thine heritage. Know that darkness is only a veil." I'm going to repeat that. Know that darkness is thine heritage. Know that darkness is only a veil. Now, let me break that down into two parts. Know that darkness is thine heritage. Now, this is from my interpretation. A lot of people tend to read this particular text and break it down from their point of view. So I'm doing the same. Know that darkness is thine heritage. When I read that, the first thing that came to me is, other than darkness, is that when we first come into these physical bodies, we start off with the dark, right? We as cells come into well, I'm bringing it down in scientific before I get into the spiritual aspect, right? So as cells, we combine, and there is light that happens within the darkness, and the light is actually life. This is scientific. They have literally seen what happens when the sperm gets into the egg, and when it's activated, there is a burst of light that happens. So darkness is a heritage in so many different ways. We were born in the dark, and from the dark we ascend into the light. We are created. The same thing happens when we come into the physical world. We are birthed, and through childhood we learn. We don't know anything. We just are alone with our senses. And as time progresses, with our families, our parents, we learn the ends and flows of life, which propels us to have um, a certain outlook, a certain life discoveries. As we go to school, we start to make friends, and then we learn from our friends from there, and it just keep excelling, excelling, excelling. And then through the darkness, another thing, you know, like I just suggested, education. Education is one of the main things, if not the main thing, to get outside of the dark, right? This is why when back in the day, you people were killed for having a physical book, because um they didn't want us to, especially like in terms of slavery, in the slavery times, in any type of slavery, but especially in blacks, for many years, thousands of years, people were lynched and killed, unfortunately, because of their overseers didn't want them to read. Reading was actually against the law for people of color. Why is that? And I'm not getting on a whole like, oh, black and white, but I'm just using that as an example in terms of why education, or how education is so important. Why it's so important for you to pick up a book, you know, go to the library and seek knowledge for yourself. Don't just, even from what I'm saying, go and find out for yourself. Realize that you have the ability to always come from your own perspective. Never rely solely on what you read or what you hear. I know for myself, I listen and I read a lot of different things, and I'm open to suggestions, but I always take what I need from it, and then I leave the rest alone. Guys, I'm still finishing off my coffee. I just want to come by here and share, because I was just so excited. And like I said, I'm still getting through the text, but I feel like this particular, and this is why the Emerald Tablet is so popular for many reasons. They also say that biblically, a lot of religious texts um, was derived from that, whether you believe that or not. And I can see that happening, whether it's true or not, whether you believe that or not, because if you read all, or if you have read different religious texts, there is always some type of similarity, and then it go off on its own. And I really believe that it's because people are always coming from their own perspective, and through a person's perspective, there is a certain type of enlightenment that happens. And sometimes that enlightenment can be so profound that it can change the way the world looks at many things. Right? So know that darkness is thine heritage. Another thing, people are stingy with knowledge. So you're going to always be in the dark. Like, that is a heritage, because number one, when you come into this world, we don't know anything. Well, physically we don't know anything. Mentally, it appears that we don't know anything, and I'm going to get into the spiritual aspect of that. as well. But I just want to really go into just break it down in terms of the logistics, in terms of scientific, because a lot of times we get on ourselves for the things that we don't know, but you're honestly, you're like a blank canvas always. Even when you know something, right? When they upgrade, if they upgrade the phones, right? When you get a new phone, you're in the dark. You have to reclaim what you know. You have to learn that, okay, there's different apps, there's different ways of using things, especially with these iPhones, right? They have a similarity, but then there's always something new to grasp from the app. The second part, know that darkness is only a veil. Now it kind of goes into, once again, I'm getting ahead of my notes on what's new. Darkness is a veil. It is, because once you take the time, once you make it a decision to educate, to elevate one's thought, next thing you know, right, the veil has been lifted. That's like being in a relationship, right? You go in, you're thinking one way, and then as you get to know a person, the veil has been lifted. Hopefully, is in a good way. You start to learn things about the person that you wouldn't have ever known if not taken the time to spend with them, to get to know them, right? So let's just kind of like switch over to the spiritual aspect, and because that was really what really triggered me to create or to go live, um, speaking about this particular topic. Well, a lot of things happens in the dark. You know, there's a lot of movies that has been made to scare you about the dark. If you think about it, there are so many things that's always telling us like, oh, don't go bumping in the night because you never know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to see. Well, I feel like, yes, there are a lot of things that to this day we still don't know. Look at the ocean. The ocean as deep as human beings has been able to as deep as human beings has been able to go down within the sea. There's still so much of the surface that we have yet have the materials to go all the way down. There are so many animal species that lives within the abyss of deep within the oceans that we still to this day have not discovered. As much as we have discovered, there's so much more. Translation into your spiritual, just being in your mind, in your body, when you close your eyes, even when you just are alone with yourself. And this, again, this is why I'm always working on meditating and being able to meditate myself, because when you are alone with self, you are able to hear from within. Because let's just be honest, the true relationships to be had is really with yourself. I know a lot of times we're trying to interact with other people and we're trying to make it a point to, coexist with others, and that is a great thing to do. But the ultimate relationship is within self. Because when you're able to have a or be in communion with yourself, you elevate. There's different doors that are unlocked within yourself, that you are able to see things from a different perspective, because we all know once perspectives change, our lives change, right? So that's one of the main things that really stuck out to me when I came across this particular text, especially when it says darkness is thine heritage. But just because darkness is your heritage, that doesn't mean that you have to stay in the dark. right? Which brings us back to know that darkness is only a veil. When you think about it, even when you want to like start maybe your own business, maybe you want to move to a different region that you have never lived before, at one point it all feels very scary. It's very scary to start something new because you are in the dark. I'm gonna repeat that. It's very easy to be afraid to make any new moves, start something new, um, delve in something, or even study something new because of what past people have told you not to do, or what may come out of it, right? But it's only a veil. A lot of times you have to be, I find you have to be aware of people telling you not to do certain things. Now, a lot of times it could come from a place of love, but it also comes from a place of scarcity because they didn't do it, because they weren't brave enough to seek and look for things or learn things that generally will change your perspective. Because a lot of times once you change your perspective, you might be the only one with this particular perspective, so now you feel like you are the odd man out. So a lot of times people rather just follow the yellow brick road because they don't want to be the only one. They don't want to be the only one with all this knowledge, right? Not the only one, but maybe in their camp, right? Because now your language, your ability to see things from a broader point of view will interrupt your personal interactions with others, right? And this is why when you, I don't know, for some reason Moses comes to mind when he went towards the burning bush, right, which was God, the Spirit of God, and it was speaking to him, right? So now he has all this knowledge, right? He has all this knowledge that has been bestowed upon him through the Holy Spirit. And now he has to take this knowledge, perspective, because once he was in the dark, he didn't know anything about none of the stuff that was happening. He didn't understand. He seen the oppression happening, but he didn't understand the depth of the changes that needed to be held in order for freedom to happen to a nation, right? But then he was bestowed with knowledge. Now he had to come back. He even stated, and it's in the Bible, it says, I believe, and I'm not quoting, listen, I'm just giving you what I know, what I have come across, and I'm sure you have heard it before. When when Moses was leaving God's presence, the burning bush, he asked, who, when he was told to bring this new perspective to, right, to the people, he said, who shall I say sent me? And then God says, I am that I am. Tell him that I am sent you. What? So now you're supposed to come to these people and tell them, when they say, well, who told you all of this? You're supposed to say, I am who I am. Now, what I believe in again, this is from my interpretation. Again, this is the dark, going into the dark and coming out in the light, right? There's so many different meanings within I am that sent you, for me, what one of the things I interpret I am that I am, which is I am within me, within you, sent you. The spirit within you sends you to speak to these people. My perspective, the perspective that I have bestowed upon you, have put you in a place where now you can be confident that you have the tools to be able to preach to others. Now that's just like a little short synopsis of how I'm viewing what I'm saying just to stay on topic in terms of coming out of the dark with the light. We all have the polarity of being in both at the same time, because just because you close your eyes, it doesn't mean the light within you no longer exists. You still have an imagination, you still have a spirit. So with that being said, you're able to formulate, you're able to dream, you're able to take whatever you have come across and mold it to your perspective and bring light to it. Yesterday, I just finished watching the the Gilded Age, the series 1 and 2. I suggest everybody read it. It has a lot of historical truths within the series about a rich age, a very affluent age in New York, when people were all about that money, the glitz and glams, and also the costumes were so beautiful, breathtaking, and to the point where I'm like, I want to go. Being that I am blessed to live in New York City, I'm thinking about going to some of the historical places on Fifth Avenue where a lot of the people that were there at one point resided, right? Because it was a tight, I feel like, I believe it was like the 400, it was 400 affluent people. Like that was the group. It was no more than 400. And this is a really great show. I believe there is going to be a season 3. I think, if don't hold me to it, but I believe season 3 has been passed and it's going to be supposedly out 2025. So we'll see. I'm here for it. I'm late to the game with it, but I literally binged season 1 and 2. I love the series so much that I'm thinking about watching it again. So that should tell you something. But that was a moment, right? And there are going to be so many different times in life where you will find yourself being in the dark, right? But I feel like once we allow ourselves to understand, I'm looking at the time because we are on a time crunch today, guys. Okay. Once we understand that it's all a veil that has to be constantly lifted, from ourselves. Once we take it upon ourselves to understand that the true power is always from within. When you see athletes doing the things they have done, look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all times. I didn't even like basketball, but when he was playing, I watched. His sneakers are still like so much money. I mean, people pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a sneaker, okay, that holds his name. Now, when he first started, did he always know that he was going to be this famous? Or was it something deep within himself, the dark, that he, over the course of time, kept cultivating, growing from within, which gave him confidence, that spoke to him in such a way that he persisted to keep at it? Because he could listen. Athletes go through a lot when they are playing these sports. Okay, we see them shooting the ball, doing this, doing that, but they lose their toenails. They play with major injuries. A lot of times you'll see them with those little tight braces around their legs or arm. Well, that's because that's probably an area that is probably a little more sore than not. Maybe when you are playing, when you are athletic, there's always, even when you're not athletic, but there's always one part of your body that you may use or rely on more than the other, so that of course it's going to be a little more sore. So you'll see them going through all these changes, but yet we don't realize the pains that they're in. A lot of them, I'm sure, they have to get cortisol shots just to maintain. Dancers, you see elaborate ballet dancers standing on their toes. They're athletes as well. We may see them moving very gracefully, but to get the body to be able to move in such a way, that is a lot of pain and suffering, my friends, right? So where am I going with all of this? What I'm Where I'm going with it is that I just want to come by and give hope. Give hope to those who are in a transitional state in their lives, whether you may be an empty nester, you may have just started a new job, you may just started your life. Maybe you just got out of college and you are in a state of mind where you are afraid to move forward because you really don't know what's going to happen. That's the whole thing about being in a transitional state. Even as you start to age, you go through different phases in life. Women, you go from adolescence, you first you're a teenager, everything is good, and you're a young woman, and then over the course of time, your body starts to go through a different change, which is menopause. And that is, to this day, we are still in the dark with that. Why? Because don't even get me started on the system, but one of the main reasons I believe is because we are so different, right? There is no one size fit all with anything for that matter. So it's always up to you to seek and find what fits right for you, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So there is always an amount of work that needs to be held, an accountability that needs to be held towards self. There's always more that needs to be understood, right? And through the course of life, there's so many different perspectives that is awaiting you, awaiting me to be had, right? And it's very easy to feel comfortable. It's very, very easy to feel like, you know what, I'm afraid to move forward because I'm comfortable here. I know what this is. Why rock the boat? But what about all the ones before you that have been brave enough to go through the dark once more to get into the light, right? This is your heritage. The darkness is always going to be there, guys. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to experience, right? With that being said, understand that you have the power. You have the power, you have the ability to create whatever life that you see fit for yourself. You are never the victim, pretty much. That's what I want to say. You are never the victim. You hold the power, you hold the key. Guys, this was great. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll be notified every time I go live. I definitely working on a couple of things, and I will keep you privy as that goes along, but be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. Hit that bell so you'll be notified every time I go live or upload a video. All my podcasts are always usually going up on this channel. Again, this is a spinoff from my podcast. Also, subscribe to my vlog channel. I go live on that channel, like I mentioned, and also all my vlogs, if you want to keep up with your girl along the week, all my vlogs are always in my videos that I edit are on that platform. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell on that as well, and share this video, share this live with somebody that you feel that is seeking or needing a word of encouragement. I would definitely appreciate it. It would definitely help this channel. Guys, stay blessed. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Stay in peace. Stay in love and stay empowered. Peace.